Ah, my lord, you've arrived. Please don't forget to like and comment on the video. If you want, you can join for $5 a month. See you soon. Medieval strategy gamers. I know you suffer from the same disease that I do, and that is severe psychosis. No, actually, it's a severe lack of good strategy games based on the medieval period. So today I'm going to try to show you 3 games which I think really appeal to many different audiences. Most of the time when I do these top 3 lists, we're looking at pretty much the same genre of game. I would say this is a little bit different. The first one, obviously, guys, Medieval 2 Total War. This game has been around for a very, very long time. Again, the starting screen here allows you to jump into the grand campaign. The factions being shown right here are not all of the factions you can play, but the cool thing about this game is you actually need to conquer the countries within the game to be able to play as them, or just jump online and find some sort of cheat code, but I wouldn't recommend it. You also get to replay these ancient battles, and I have to say, up until this point, excluding a few modifications for Attila Total War, this is probably the closest you're going to get to real-time battles for the medieval period, and we're going to take a look at one of them right now here. And even though this game is dated, I'm telling you, these battlers are still sick, they still look great, they still get my blood pumping, and I think they're still pretty damn fun. The actual map itself is already a work of art. As you can see over here, I'm playing as the French, and we've got characters. Now, this is one element that I really love about this game, is you have characters with different traits. Some of the traits have to do with the fear they strike into the enemy's hearts, or how chivalrous they are, and other traits have to do with their administrative ability or their ability to command armies in combat. There is a dynastic element to this, so if I go over here, you've got a family tree, and I absolutely love this element of the game. You know, your kings and your dukes, etc., have children, but it's done on actually a fairly simplistic level, believe it or not. As you can see, these are all playable characters that can hire their own levies. They can also construct buildings within cities and further build these cities up, and therefore sort of become administrators, as it were, like this Noel de Roche. But the dynastic element is not as deep as one of the other games we're going to take a look at in this series today. However, I thought I'd mention it because it's pretty cool. Just the fact that you can build up your little country and have all sorts of buildings, etc. I think it's pretty cool. Of course, you can keep on expanding, and as well as the family tree, you've got a College of Cardinals. Now, going back to the power of the Catholic Church, not just today, but back then, of course, if you're able to get most of your country as cardinals, as in the College of Cardinals, and get your guy elected pope, you can pretty much do whatever you want. Sky's the limit. You could even go and conquer London if you want and turn it into a French city. I know. And please, I'm not trying to lose any English subscribers. That being said, let's jump in and get into a little battle so I can show you guys the combat of this game.
Saint-Denis preserve us. Those rabbit fools need killing, but do not let them bite you! Let's kill those dogs!
So as you can see, before every battle, there is an epic speech by the general. Now, this guy, Richard Legris, he's not much of a speaker, so his speech reflects his actual personality as reflected by his attributes and traits, which is just absolutely awesome. Now, over here, we are besieging the famous city of Acre. Acre, is it Acre or Acre? And we are gonna, or is it just Acre? And we are gonna go ahead and approach, but you could see the level of scale here. I don't want to go through an entire battle for you guys. I think you guys can pretty much go take a look at that for yourselves, but there's so much in this game that I can't even put all in just one video, and we're trying to do 3. You could see the level of scale here. A massive city off in the distance, guys getting prepared to defend, and things get pretty hectic once we actually make it to the walls. Now let's take a look at the next game in this list and see exactly what that's all about. Now, the next game in the series is not as shiny as the other two, but to be perfectly honest with you, Field of Glory 2 Medieval is to me the most aesthetically accurate of all three of the games. The reason being, this game is, of course, painted meticulously. Each individual unit is meticulously created, and it's essentially sort of based off a medieval I guess you'd call it tabletop board game, but all of the art in the game, as well as the armor worn by the characters, etc., or I should say the soldiers, is just 100% true to form, realistic, or when I say realistic, it's accurate. I should say historically accurate, and I love that. As you can see, in terms of campaigns for this game, it works a little bit differently than the other two ones that I'm showing you in that it doesn't have anything resembling a grand campaign, and that's kind of unfortunate. But what you can do is you could play as a bunch of different old historical figures and try to actually make it through. I actually have an Alexander Nevsky campaign here on the channel, so make sure to check it out if you want to see what that's like. But this is sort of how the campaigns approach. You fight battle to battle. You can do static, where the battles remain essentially the same in difficulty, or progressive, where they get harder and harder, depending on your challenge. The other huge bonus about this game is, of course, the ability to do multiplayer. This would be just a standard multiplayer lobby. I can't recall if it's PBEM or not, because I do know that the previous Field of Glory 2 was play by email. That being said, also have really great battles, and this is what I love in the game, are the epic battles. Now, if you see all these Reconquista, Rise of the Swiss, Storm of Arrows, these are DLC for the game. You don't just automatically get these, but I'll give you guys a look at one of my favorite ones, which is Sublime Port. Kind of focusing on the Christian Byzantine Empire, its rise, its fall, etc., as well as a bunch of other stuff. But you can see there are a lot of really awesome battles. I love this one, the Battle of Kosovo, which brings us all the way to Yugoslavia, Serbs against Ottomans, or actually oh my gosh, how is this not coming to me? No, Kosovo is an independent country now, isn't it? Brain fart. Let's see. In any case, we've also got the Battle of Târgoviște. This is, of course, the Romanian fight of Vlad the Impaler against the Ottoman Turks. And it's actually, I believe, when he first ambushed them. They're in their camp at night, and your job is to go in there and cut some heads off. Let's take a look at the aesthetic that the game offers in that battle, because I want to show you kind of how it looks. Of course, depending on the army you are playing, you're going to get different kinds of units. You can go ahead and place these yourself, or just go ahead and autofill. And in this battle, I would autofill because essentially we've just got a bunch of cavalry here, and we're going to ride into the Turkish camp and slaughter them. You guessed it. The movement, as you can see, I mentioned to you guys before, it's a lot like a tabletop game, and Field of Glory is indeed originally a tabletop. So we go ahead, move our men forward. I want to get some detail here so you guys can see how beautifully painted these units are. And like I said, depending on the nation that you are playing, these are going to be meticulously painted. Each shield, each armor piece is going to be different, each flag. I really like that. And the creator of this game, Richard Bodley Scott, I say it every time I focus on his games, that I did get the chance to meet this guy, and I was definitely starstruck. As far as I'm concerned, he is, sort of a legend in the strategy community, and I believe he was even a brain surgeon. Don't quote me on this, but I believe he was a brain surgeon before he started creating strategy games. So if you need anybody to get technical with your actual military simulator or strategy game, he's going to get very technical with it, and that's why I would say this is a great game for somebody that wants a tactical strategy game. You can see now the Ottomans have just woke up from their slumber, and these little flags over them indicate their position. These guys are fragmented right now, which means, they're not in formation. They're just kind of hanging around, and these guys are disrupted. Same situation going on. You want to cause these effects and conditions on your enemy, because at some point they will break, and if you get more than 40% of the enemy army to break, you have won the battle, my friends. That's right. Now, like I said, especially in a multiplayer setting, it can be a lot of fun to play with your friends, kind of see how they would approach an actual medieval battle like this. And I think that's just another element of this game that makes it so damn fun to see each person's individual strategy when it comes to something like a medieval fight. So there we go. We've got some shots from the enemy, some reaction shots. Of course, this is all done on dice rolls, but that 56 that you see represents the actual amount of men killed or wounded in the unit, in the group. So for those of you that are like me and you really do care about like casualty counts, this game does have that, despite being more of a tabletop approach. You also, of course, get win ratios. You know, in this case, the chance of winning is 100%. But if we were facing another really heavily armored, knight group, or let's say a spearman line, that chance of winning could be like 12%. So you really need to determine whether you're going to go through with your attacks based on these percentages. You can also see important historical figures of the time, like Nyoge Gravieshti. Maybe our Romanian friends can tell me if I got that even close to being right. As you know, not just Vlad the Impaler, but his generals, etc. So I think another reason I really enjoy this one, maybe for a younger person or something like that, and I'm by no means calling this a simple game, but for a younger person, this might be a good historical learning lesson, something that will get them interested in history and get them asking questions, and I think that sort of pays for itself. As you can see, we've got that same meticulous detail here in the Ottoman's army. Right now, this is just the rear guard of his army, and I'm not going to play the entire battle, but as we get deeper to the Ottoman or the Sultan's tent, we are going to start seeing some extremely strong units, some mounted horsemen with armor, etc. Cataphracts, whatever the case may be. But again, whatever era you want, within the scope of the medieval era, of course, whatever historical character from that period you want to play with, it's probably here, and you can probably make it happen. This particular battle, like I said, is an ambush battle, but there are battles like Poitiers or Agincourt where you've got basically just two armies facing each other, two massive armies facing each other. I would definitely give it a look if you're a fan of medieval tactical games. Well, let's move on to my favorite, and really the third game on this list. It's not only my favorite, but the entire series, besides the first one, I would say they're equally good. So if you're going to get the second or the third, they're both absolutely incredible. Magnifique, we have arrived. Crusader Kings 3. Now, guys, let me be very clear. It doesn't matter if you've got Crusader Kings 3 or Crusader Kings 2. As long as it's not one, these are essentially equally incredible games. The only difference is in CK3, you're going to get this 3D image of your royal family. In Crusader Kings 2, you won't, but it's so much more than that, guys. If we're just taking a look here at the initial campaigns, these are only giving you a tiny, tiny piece of what your options are in the game. That's excluding every single one of the modifications you can get for this game, which add everything from Game of Thrones, if you want, to the Bronze Age. But as you can see here, once we actually jump in, we don't just get to play as those pre-selected characters, kings, dukes, etc. No, we can select any count, duke, king, whatever we want on the map. And let me be clear, if we zoom in here as an example, this is the Holy Roman Empire under Kaiser Heinrich IV. However, if we get closer and closer and closer to these tiny, tiny counties, they have their own individual ruler. This one has Duke Otto II of Bavaria. And if you go even closer, he's going to have counts underneath him. And each of these counts has their very own family, their very own storyline, etc. And you are in charge of bringing that family to greatness, potentially taking over the duchy, potentially taking over the entire Holy Roman Empire or kingdom or wherever the hell you want to play, because the game is massive. I mean, look at this. You can go all the way to India if you want and play as a Hindu ruler. Or you can go all the way to the Middle East and play as a Fatimid ruler. Every single one of these is going to have its own individual flavor for religion and culture, etc. This game is just massive. I could probably do a 2-hour video on this game alone. The idea being, though, when you start off, you play as a specific character. You, of course, have to unlock that specific character's traits, although they are generally going to have their own traits. Then you're going to have to get married here. You're going to have to try and, of course, have some heirs. And, of course, you want to get married to the right person. So there's all of these different traits that determine what kind of individual your character is going to be like. There are also just very blatantly honest descriptions of what your character is going to be like. So if we go to Walter here, one of my guests, he is a fearless lackey, which means that he will do whatever the hell I say, but he's also fearless about it? I don't know. That's a bit of an oxymoron, no? I don't know. That being said, this game is incredible. And like I said, the different things I've done in this game, it's really the sky is the limit. This is unfortunately out of date, but I've essentially taken over all of Galicia, or all of the Iberian Peninsula as the Galicians, and created my very own empire with my own religion. That's right, you can actually change your religion. You can also convert to other faiths, and let me tell you, the amount of different faiths is insane. Like I said, you can create your own, so that's totally up to you. But this game is just completely different in, well, not in terms of Medieval 2. There are similarities, but this game really gives you that option to go ahead and truly feel what the dynastic timing, or the dynastic way of doing things was at this time, I guess, would be the correct way to say it. And as you can see, different things will occur over time. That's why I can't possibly touch on everything that this game has to offer in this video. It would just be impossible. But over time, you are going to get so many different things to deal with. You have an intrigue panel where you can actually see schemes against you. You have a prison where you can, of course, imprison people. You can torture them, you can execute them, whatever you want to do, but they all are going to have consequences to your vassals. Now over here, as just a count, I don't have many vassals. So if I wanted to start expanding, I would have to go and talk to my administrators, and essentially I would need to try and vie for control, try and fabricate a claim outside of my territory to start growing legitimately within my empire. Now again, the sky is the limit for this game, so if you so chose that you wanted to try and create a faction to overthrow the emperor, it would be ridiculously tough, but you could do it. I mean, it's something you could absolutely do. You'll also see here that the more power you gain, the more vassals you're going to have underneath you, and you need to please all of these vassals. One of them could very well be your end. On top of that, you've got to worry about all sorts of other threats outside of your kingdom. The Seljuk Turks, the Kamanians are just the dangers of this particular era. The Mongols do make an appearance in this game if you are playing the base game. So really, the sky is the limit. I got to say, of all three, this one is my favorite one. I just love Crusader Kings 3. What can I say? I love CK2, CK3. I think they're absolutely incredible. This game, the depth level, of course, is insane. So a lot of people on this channel are always telling me to play Command Modern Air Naval Operations, and I always procrastinate because of how challenging it is. This game, look, let me just put it this way. Yes, there is a lot to learn, but trust me, you can know like just very simple things at first and just kind of play it through and see how things go. And over time, you will learn things little by little until you're actually at a point where you're doing whatever the hell you want. Look out for those murders. Look out for that Black Plague. It is in the game. It can affect your characters. You can get the Black Plague, you can get cholera, you can get all sorts of illnesses. You can even get some illnesses that I'm not actually supposed to mention in this video because YouTube's new policies. Oh my God, the Norwegians have taken over England. These are the kind of things that can occur. And very, very interesting to say the least. Well, guys, thank you so much for stopping by this video. I hope you guys had fun. would say one negative against Crusader Kings 3 is, as you can see, in terms of the warfare element of the game, yes, there is a warfare element, but you don't actually get to see the armies fighting like you do in the previous 2 games. You get sort of a text and numbers representation based on the odds, and I know there are modifications for this which allow you to actually port this over to Attila and play the medieval battles there, but I don't know enough about them to recommend them. Nonetheless, you can't go wrong with this one. Check it out. And look at that! My wife is pregnant! Hopefully with my own heir, yes? That can happen too. See you guys on the next one.